Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lynette Golfin, and today I was inspired by my dad to start this channel, A Mother's Voice. It is a safe place for women of color to discuss topics that have beset our homes and communities, to have conversations, inspiration, and words of encouragement for us and our children. It is a place for us to come together to learn and grow. So I'm excited. I can't wait to take this adventure with y'all. And first and foremost, thank you all for viewing this channel, for watching my first video, and let's jump into it. As a mom and a woman of color, lately, due to what has transpired from the recent deaths of Ahmaud, George Floyd, and Miss Breonna Taylor, and various others, I've been seeing comments and hearing women and mothers talk about how do we deal with this with our children? What do we say to our kids? Especially during this time period, because it's one met with racial discrimination in the midst of a international pandemic. So, first and foremost, to me, I believe that we need to just breathe. Allow ourselves to just take a minute and just breathe through this process. Draw back. Educate our children on their age group level, on what's really happening, and tell them the truth. But at the same time, just take a break, because there is a lot going on. And it's okay to just say, you know what, we just need quiet time right now. I just need peace. We all just need peace, especially inside the home. Stress levels are going extremely high right now. Everything. And that's normal. It's natural, especially during these trying times. But to be able to find peace in the midst of it all, to be able to take just a minute and a break, to just relax, that to me is the most important right now. Because if there's anxiety going on in the home, the child is going to feel that. They already have their own anxiety from, why is everything changing? What happened? What's going on? Why mommy and daddy are this and that and the third? And again, that's normal. It's okay. But just, you know what? Take a break, breathe, and then explain to them what's happening on their level. And I'm able to, I'm able to say this because I had to do it. I have a little one of my own, and they're noticing, they're at the age where they definitely can see there's changes, and they're hearing mommy have conversations, daddy have conversations about what's happening. Their grandparents, other relatives, church members, they don't get to see them because we can't go out really due to the pandemic and the stay-at-home order. And just trying to explain it to them on their level so they don't get anxiety and start to worry too much and be overly concerned about what's going on and how this is going to affect them. So what I had to do is just take a break and breathe for my own self first. Gather my thoughts, gather my emotions together, and then sit down and talk to my son about it and just explain, you know, right now there's a terrible cold going on. And it's spreading. It's a airborne disease, meaning there's bacteria in the air floating around. And if you have the bacteria in this disease or infection, and you cough or have any bodily fluid coming out of you, you spread it really easily, sneezing, all that. Just like with the flu, but 10 times worse. And for African Americans and women of color and in urban communities, heavily populated communities, our communities are affected and our people are affected at a much higher rate. So we have to be extra precautious. So to explain that right now, no, you can't play with some of your friends that you haven't seen in a while, because we have to be safe right now. We have to take extraordinary measures to preserve one's health and one's future, because children are getting terribly sick from it, as well as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, everybody. But to also explain, there is a way to connect to your friends in using social media platforms like messenger. Now, me personally, me and his dad feel like kids, what is that thing? Messenger, he's a little too young for, but he can go on mommy's messenger and communicate with his friends. I can call his parents and vice versa, his friends' parents, and vice versa, and monitor, what's going on. That's me personal. Also, he's not old enough. He's not even a teenager. He's still just a kid in elementary. So we don't allow him to have that. And so far, it's been doing good. Phone calls, they can text pictures and whatnot, but allow them to have some type of communication is healthy. And then another thing is he's been hearing the news and seeing what's going on with the death of George Floyd and hearing "I can't breathe" and explaining that to a child on their level, because I know for myself he's witnessed discrimination before the age of 10. And to hear a black male say on national television, "I can't breathe," and literally see a police officer with his knee on his neck, pushing it into the road, the cement that you drive on next to a police car, for an adult, that's traumatic. That's crazy. This is wild. Like, why? But for a kid, it's even more like, so this won't happen to me when I grow up? Like, what do I do with this? And they just look around like, how do I handle this? Can I be a kid? Is it okay for me to even be black? And yes, it is. Nothing is wrong with being black. Nothing is wrong with the color of our skin and who we are. But we do need to educate our children and not be afraid to tell them the truth of how society really is, but on their level. And sometimes we all struggle with that. I did. Sometimes I believe I made that mistake where I might have made a comment and he was nearby, and it wasn't, I'll say, inappropriate in like a nasty way, but the content was a little too mature for him to hear. He made the comment the other day, "Do we have to hear this?" And it's like, unfortunately, yes, we do need to hear it, but maybe you need to go outside for this moment because you heard it already in new news and information that came out that adults need to hear. We need to get that first and then process it and dilute it for our children, which is sometimes hard to do all the time, and that's understandable. But to see fear in his eyes and worry that, is it okay to be black, is heartbreaking as a mom. It is heartbreaking. And I know with myself, I had to ask God to guide me in that conversation and not get too frustrated when I mention they're killing us like that, or they don't see us the same way they see themselves. So we have to be mindful, and at the same time not overly do things like raise them in extreme fear, which is hard to say because they are raised in fear. We have to let them know, you do got to be mindful with the cops. We cannot lie to our kids and say, if you do everything right, nothing's going to happen. That's not true. And they've seen it, they've been exposed to it, and they've heard it, especially recently, which is traumatic because it's like the country's supposed to be shut down in a lot of places. We're supposed to see bare minimum contact with each other, and then you, in the midst of a shutdown, you see police brutality for yourself on live. That's insane. I mean, it happens, but you're not expecting it, hoping that we can grow through this pandemic together and some changes be made in a split second. No, we still see y'all a certain way. And to see the officer look directly into that young lady's phone camera like that, knowing that she's taping him with no fear, no concern, no nothing, that alone is scary. Because children take that image and like, well, the next police officer they see, is this going to happen to them? And you can't say yeah, and you can't say no, but you have to say, look, some officers do view us in this way. but we have to still carry ourselves a certain way regardless. And for you as a child, you still need to be respectful. And it's okay to say, you can wave, but if I'm not around, or dad's not around, or someone that you know as an adult is not around, you don't have to be overly, hey, officer, such and such and such and such. You can just wave and just go back to just being a kid. If you feel like I know some kids have said they felt like the officer had followed them down the street, and I've witnessed this. It happened to me in my childhood, and I've witnessed it in my adulthood with other children. It's okay to go straight home or call your parent if you have a phone, depending on your age, and say, Mom, Dad, an officer had followed me down. I don't feel comfortable. Can you come get me? And it's okay for us to show up at town hall meetings as parents and say, look, our children are being targeted in a way that's unjust. It's uncivil, and it dehumanizes our kids. It's not fair, and it needs to change. And in the midst of that, without overly babying them, but just simply comfort them in the midst of it, and let them know that you did nothing wrong. It's just the way of life for some people. Some people feel like they're above us. Some kids are taught that they're above you. And it's not true. You are fearfully and wonderfully made by God. And to express that and show them unconditional love, like, even if you did make a mistake and somebody called the cops, you don't have to feel inferior. But to let them know that, look, you got yourself in some trouble. How do we handle it? Where do we go from here? You still have to talk respectfully. Your parents definitely need to be there when they show up, because no police officer is supposed to be dealing with no child and questioning them without the child's parent and or guardian. It's okay to say, don't say nothing at all right now until we get there. It is okay for us to protect our children and know the law for ourselves and for our children's sake. It's okay, and don't feel guilty to have to say, hold on, something's not right. It's okay to tell your child, immediately say, I need my mom and my dad. It's okay. Right now, my little one had, he wanted to protest, or he's interested in protesting. At the same time, he's afraid because what he's seen on the news by us watching it. And it's okay to be both. It is okay for a child to want to stand up like they did. We had children, since the time we got to this country, we've had children stand up and say, hey, I don't like this. I don't like the way this feels. This ain't it. This is not how we're supposed to live. There was children marching in the civil rights movement. But we gotta prepare them on their level for what's ahead. And it's okay to feel, it's okay to want to protest and be worried and concerned and have some fears at the same time. But show courage in the midst of fear and go out and protest or speak out. Even if that means speaking out to a friend and saying, hey, lift your head up. Nothing wrong with being black. Our mom and dads love us. We are somebody. We're just as important. Black lives matter too. We as kids matter too. That enough can help a kid lift her or his head up in that moment of feeling inferior or questioning their value. And it's our goal as parents to relay that message to our children, and let them be confident from babies on up. Just show them unconditional love. And I have some family members that protested, and they had their kids with them, and they had little signs. It was so cute. It was a raw moment of a whole family marching, and specifically, they were in Philadelphia at the time, peacefully marching with their little signs. One is so young, they're still in a stroller. They can't walk for long. I don't even think they're one yet. But to have their little signs, Black Lives Matter too. My life matters too. Justice for everyone. Nothing is wrong with that. But please be encouraged. Again, take the time to explain this to our children, but on their level. And take the time to just soak it in for yourself, break it down, allow yourself to feel your emotions, everything, and then go out and speak to our kids about it. Because we are living in some different times. We are living in troubling times, and it's not like we haven't seen trouble before, and it's not like we haven't been here before. I know many of us hope we didn't have to be here again, but we are. So what do we do as mothers? How do we guide our kids? What words can we say? What voice do we have that our kids will hear it, not just by their ears, but hear it in their heart, hear it in their mind, hear it in their little souls, that they matter, and it's okay to stand up for who they are. It's okay to demand better and want better. It's okay to say, this is not right. And let's do it together. And we can hold their hands through the process. Now, some of our kids are going to be older. Some of us may have adult children. But to still be like, baby, you're worth fighting for. You're worth protesting for. You're worth saying Black Lives Matter too. You're worth it. You're worth being treated correctly. Your civil rights matter. Be encouraged. Stay encouraged. And again, my prayers go out to all mothers, everyone right now, especially mothers who are dealing with this, mothers who have little black boys who are so scared right now because they saw an image of a man yelling out, I can't breathe, and calling on his mom. And for our young girls that heard that a young lady was murdered by the police officers, could that be them in the future? Just stay strong and protest if you would like to, peacefully. And there's a way to protest without being out in the streets. It's just communicating, just telling someone, Black Lives Matter too. That simple phrase sometimes resonates with people and we don't even know it. So God bless, stay encouraged, and lift your head up through this process. Because like Maya Angelou said, and still I rise. We will rise above this. Have a good one.